I feel like this one today is going to spark a lot of opinion, and that's great because I'm going to be diving deep into possibly the most important conversation DBD needs to have in 2026. What needs to change? And I'm not talking about bug fixes, perk numbers, or should the blight be nerfed again. I'm talking the big stuff. Things that will evolve the entire game. Features the community has begged for, yelled about, and memed to death. And honestly, I think these things could take DBD from a fun game with problems to holy crap, the fog is alive again. This is the ultimate 2026 wish list. Think of it as a Christmas list if you want. All the things players have been asking for, wanting, and why they want them. So sit back, relax, and let's get into the video. So I'm going to break this down into sections, guys, and we're going to start with section 1, and that is fixing the solo queue and making matchmaking actually fair. Because let's talk about that thing that makes survivors age 10 years every time they queue. It's solo queue. Have you ever loaded into a match and immediately known it was doomed? Yeah, same. You've got one teammate crouch walking in a corner, another going for a flashlight save they will miss 100% of the time, and someone doing whatever the hell that thing is doing over there. Solo queue is unpredictable. Actually, let me rephrase that. It's predictably unpredictable. So what I'd like to see in 2026 are some subtle changes, but I think they will be deeply effective. I'd like to firstly see console players have the opportunity to talk to PC players in the pre-match lobby whilst you're waiting to ready up. Then I'd like to see matchmaking that actually matches skill level, not these crazy 1 minute you're against a P100 blight and the next you're against a newbie clown. There needs to be some sort of balance there. It would also be good to see for the solo queue buffs that don't break the swift balance, and maybe even indicators for team roles or intentions. For example, in the pre-match lobby, there could be indicators that your particular teammates, one is more accustomed to going for healing during the match, one is more accustomed for doing generators, and so on and so forth. I'd also like the opportunity to see my teammates' perks in the pre-match lobby. So if someone's got a healing build, I know they're going to play Team Doctor. If someone's got a gen build, they're going to be the gen rats. Good information will allow for a good game. And why are players wanting these things? Because solo queue is the most common way to play the game, and right now, it feels like a gamble every time. So players just want fair chances, informed decisions, and matches that don't fall apart instantly, and fewer games where two teammates die at full gens because of bad coordination. If solo queue feels fair and stable, the entire survivor experience improves. Let's move on to section 2, and this is one that a lot of people have been crying out for a long time, and that's a real ranked mode with real rewards. Do you ever feel like MMR is just a guy behind the scenes flipping coins? One game you get a competition-worthy nurse, next game you get a walking simulator lesion, missing every hit. Players want something structured, something competitive, and something clear. It'd be nice to see a real ranked ladder, visible ranks instead of invisible MMR, seasonal resets, and actual rewards like cosmetics, banners, prestiges, glow effects, charms, things that you have to physically earn and not just for a battle pass. Imagine loading into a lobby and seeing a particular prestigious banner that says, "Holy crap, this player is a serious player." It gives people goals, it gives players reasons to improve, and it gives the game longevity. And players are wanting this right now because climbing into DBD feels like trying to win points in a game with no scoreboard. Players want progress that means something, rewards that feel earned, and a competitive mode that motivates you instead of confusing you. A true ranked system equals healthier matchmaking, clearer expectations, and players actually learning and improving, and a reason to grind other than blood points. Let's next talk about actual map balance passes and more dynamic and fair maps. Because some maps are great, some are okay, and some feel like you're being punished for just loading in. Maps have a massive impact on balance, and some are still stuck in 2017 design philosophy. So in 2026, it'd be cool to see yearly map balance passes, updated tile layouts so loops aren't infinite or trash, consistent pallet spawns, less map size extremes, more dynamic lighting / fog options, and new tiles designed for balanced chases. Map design should help both sides feel like they have a chance, not, oh great, it's Garden of Joy, guess the killer's uninstalling after this. 80% of the time, maps decide how the match feels. Unfair loops equals killers mauled, dead zones equals survivors mauled, oversized maps equals killers crying, and gen-type maps equals survivors crying. Whereas balanced maps equals better chases, fairer outcomes, more variety, and ultimately more fun. Every killer and survivor benefits from better maps. Let's next talk about the 2v8 mode. This is a big one. DBD did it. They finally gave us 2v8, and honestly, it's one of the most refreshing things the game has ever added, and it's constantly evolving, and that's great to see. But here is the thing. I'm seeing a lot of players on Reddit, on forums saying, hey, we don't want this as just a seasonal thing. We want this to be permanent. They also want dedicated 2v8 specific maps, not just expanded RPD or other maps, but specific maps for this mode, which means devs, you're going to have to make something new. They'd also like to see killer synergy mechanics, so 2 killers having combined powers together, survivor roles like medic, scout and engineer evolving into newer roles, objectives beyond gens, more balanced pacing, and bigger events and match variations within 2v8 itself. And ultimately, players are wanting this because they're enjoying 2v8. It breaks the monotony, it's a chaotic way in a good way, it brings people together, particularly if you have a friend that also plays killer, and it gives killer mains themselves a break from the pressure of 4v1. It's a much more relaxed game mode, low stress, and a lot of fun to be had. Let's move on to section 5 now, and that is the real progression, overhauls, prestige, blood web, and rewards. Because let's be real, DBD's progression system was revolutionary in 2016, but in 2025 entering 2026, it feels like scrolling through a receipt. The blood web is better, but still clunky. Perks take forever to unlock on new characters. Prestige feels good, but it could feel way better and way more rewarding. So in 2026, it would be nice to see a smoother blood web experience, preset loadouts that don't get wiped for every character, prestige rewards that are more visually impressive, and prestige rewards that you can continually earn all the way up to P100. More long-term grind reductions, universal perks unlocking faster, and better incentive for playing new characters. Imagine, just for an example, Prestige 10 comes with an aura color, Prestige 20 adds a glow, Prestige 50? Who knows, but I can tell you for Prestige 100, I want a diamond outfit for my killer or survivor. So why are players wanting this? Well, that's because progression shouldn't feel like a chore. They want to prestige, but it needs to feel meaningful. And they want to spend less time in the menus, they want to be able to access their builds faster, and they want rewards that actually show off dedication. If progression feels exciting, people will stay invested for longer. Now in this section, I want to speak about the visual and animation overhaul, and to DBD's credit, in the recent DBD, they did do some stuff with the lighting and the blood trail, so I won't mention that, but it would be good to see some more faster and more fluid chase animations, cleaner interactions overall with animations, and better hit validation syncing with those visuals. Because sometimes you vault a window, you land on your 2 feet, and you suddenly take a hit. That is really, really frustrating. It would also be good to see more atmospheric fog, shadows and lighting, and a more modern user interface that doesn't feel like a mobile game menu. I'm not asking them to change the art style, I just want them to evolve it slightly. Imagine smoother killer swings, better survivor movement, cleaner flashlight aiming, more reactive grass, and fog that actually feels like it's alive in the game. And players are wanting this because with better visuals comes better gameplay. Sharper animation will equal fewer questionable hits, more satisfying chases, cleaner power interactions, and better atmospherics equals more immersion, stronger horror vibes, which I feel like DBD has lost for a long time, and more replay value. A visual update doesn't just make the game prettier, it makes it feel better. In the next section, let's talk about smarter AI bots and offline features. Because DBD has bots now, and honestly, they're okay. But they do have their moments of just complete bizarreness. So in 2026, it'll be good to see the bots a lot smarter and understand stealth and looping basics. Bots that don't insta-save onto a face camping killer, bots in more match types, and offline play for practice or challenges, custom bolt difficulty settings, and killer bots with personality differences. Imagine practicing mind games against a nurse bot that actually blinks at you properly, or training loops against a huntress who throws real predictive hatchets. And players are wanting this because bots equals accessibility. It allows them to practice safely, it allows them to warm up without ruining someone else's match, and it allows them to complete archives without suffering, to teach new friends the game without dragging them into a 5-gen blight slaughter. And better bots equals better learning, better onboarding, less frustration, and more players ultimately sticking around. Offline play is a huge quality of life win. Next, I really wanted to talk about this one myself personally, and that is new killers coming into Dead by Daylight not being overly complex. Because if you just take the Krasu, for example, an amazing killer, but if you're a new player to Dead by Daylight and you want to learn about her power, take a look here and you just see this long list of information. It's too much. So we need new killers not to be weak, not to be boring, but they need to have some sense of simplicity. We want killers that rely more on skill and creativity than button combos, abilities that don't require 5 paragraphs of explanation, less multitasking minigames during chase, more pick up and play designs like Myers, Oni, Ghostface, and fewer gimmicks and more flow. We're not asking for basic killers, we're just asking for killers that feel intuitive and satisfying, something you can learn in a couple of games and not in 50 hours. The thing is, overly complex killers create huge learning curves, steep power gaps, and frustration for both sides. It also leads to less creative chases and more ability spam instead of mind games. Next, let's talk about better events, game modes, and seasonal variety. Players are looking for bigger, more interactive events in 2026. Event-exclusive game modifiers, event maps that visually transform the fog, reward tracks that feel meaningful, special holiday killers or survivor cosmetics, and mutator modes like no perk mode, item only mode, and chase only mode. Imagine a Halloween event where the entity actually changes the map, or a winter fog event where the fog becomes a snowstorm affecting visibility. We want experiments, we want excitement. This will give us variety, novelty, rule set changes, rewards with personality, and reasons to come back and play DBD. Events are the perfect place to push boundaries, and players want more than just double blood points and some pumpkins every year. This next section is for you guys that love the archives, the lore of DBD, and stories that actually feel connected. We want more engaging story arcs that span an entire year, cinematics that expand the DBD universe, more lore tie-ins between killers and survivors, archives that feel like chapters, not just filler missions, unique cutscenes for the climax of each tome, and more standalone non-killer entity characters. Imagine an entire tome focused on a fog-wide disaster, or a storyline where multiple killers collide. DBD is rich in lore, and players want this because right now it's underutilized. This will allow for stronger world building in DBD, more emotional investment from players, reasons to care about characters, and stories that feel epic. Give players cinematic storytelling, and I bet they'll show up every patch. Let's next talk about improvements to quality of life, sound, user interface, and player comfort. These changes that I'm going to ask for, they don't break the balance, they don't overhaul the gameplay, they're just going to make everything smoother. So to start, I'm talking about cleaner sound mixing, the footsteps, the breathing, the terror radius clarity. Then, the better accessibility options, the HUD customization, because it'll be great to select how you want your HUD to look, loadout saving across different characters, faster menus and loading, improved ping and regional service, and better custom lobby options. So these aren't flashy things, but I can guarantee they'll be powerful. Better UI, sound, HUD, and quality of life will equal less frustration. It will make easier learning for new players. It will allow for smoother gameplay and better matches. And I bet more players will stick around long term if they're not being downed by a killer that was 10 feet away from them because of latency. And that, guys, is the full wish list. Everything that I could condense from the community and why we want it, from better maps to smarter bots to simple killers, to bigger events, to a real ranked system, and ultimately for the game to feel alive again. Because DBD is entering its 10th year and it has the potential to be unstoppable in 2026. So if you agree, hit that like button and drop a comment with your wishlist items, or tell me about the ones I've spoken about. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What are your thoughts? I'd love to hear them. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.